Okay, we're officially live. Welcome to another one of my earnings stream. Swinging Bull with PB alerts. Wait for the socials to fill up a bit here. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a great weekend. Hope everyone's got a good start to the week. It's Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Got GameStop reporting earnings and Dave & Buster's reporting earnings. Let's see when they're going to report. Okay. GameStop reports at 4 p.m. Eastern, so we should have the data on GameStop any moment now. Forecast revenue 800 million. Just a quick look at the annual chart here. Trading just below the anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP around 24 bucks a share. Dave & Buster's, they're supposed to report at 4:05 p.m. Eastern, so about 5 more minutes for that. Forecast EPS negative $1.16. Forecast revenue 459 million. And they're trading just above their anchor VWAP. Anchor VWAP around 17 a share, around there. So I'm going to go back to the sticks and see what we got here. I'm going to go to Webull as well. I'll go to chart view so I can get my volume profile on there. Okay, 5-minute charts here. GameStop starting to get a little bit of volatility, so it's play. GameStop closed the regular session at $23.18, down about 0.75%. Kind of sloppy price action today, real choppy. Play closed the regular session at $17.97, up 1% on the day. Also kind of sloppy price action, had a bit of selling here a little after lunchtime and then ended up rallying into close. So here's GameStop. So far getting a negative reaction. This is still kind of like a meme-ish type stock. Over 200 people in the stream right now. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a good weekend. All right, let me go back to TradingView just for a sec. Okay, we'll go 1-minute chart on both of these. And let's see if we got the data for GameStop, because I'm pretty sure that's out. So far, investors reacting negatively to the data. And let's take a look here. Okay, yeah, and I can kind of see why investors are acting negatively. Let's look at this quick snapshot from the earnings correspondent. Forecast EPS was 20 cents. They reported 24, so they did beat EPS, but they missed on revenue by quite a bit, double-digit miss. Forecast revenue 987.2 million. They reported 821 million, so they missed revenue by quite a bit there. And I mean, the only shining light is the EPS, but revenue down year over year, revenue down quarter over quarter. Investors aren't really liking that too much. Let me see if I can find some forward guidance or anything like that. And then we'll figure out when their earnings web call is with the higher ups and how to get there. And then at the end of the stream, probably go over this spread trade I opened up this afternoon with the Discord members. We can kind of go over that. If you want the trades in real time, just join the Discord. But let's take a look at this. Got some more information from Wolf Financial. Let's see here. So they did pull a profit, but again, big revenue miss. But they did pull a profit. They made 273 million in profit. That was the gross profit. Net income 77 million. They did report they have $519.4 million in Bitcoin holdings. So $500 million in Bitcoin holdings. I don't know if everyone remember GameStop kind of changed their strategy a little bit and started accumulating Bitcoin a while back. So they did post a sizable Bitcoin position on the balance sheet. Let me look at a few other things. Operating income was 41 million. We already went over gross profit, already went over net income, so that's fine there. Whoa, look at Dave & Buster's getting a negative reaction. We're going to go over to them here in a minute and find out what's up with them. But we got some rough data here from GameStop. And again, I think the negative reaction, it's mostly due to the big revenue miss. And they actually, year over year, net sales were down. Prior year, third quarter, they had 860 million in net sales revenue compared to 821. So their net sales revenue is down. I think that's, that's what's rubbing investors the wrong way, is the big miss on revenue. Cash and equivalents and marketable securities were 8.8 billion at the close of the third quarter, compared to 4.6 billion at the close of the prior year's third quarter. So cash and equivalents and marketable securities has got quite a good position there, but not enough to impress investors. Again, that big revenue miss, that's the problem for GameStop. I'm going to go to GameStop's investor relations page and find out when their web call is. And let me also post the EPS and revenue for GameStop on the bottom of my screen. Let's do this. I'll post the revenue and the gross profit numbers. That's fine. Go over here to the comments, put that in there. All right. Got their investor relations page pulled up here on my other screen. So let's take a look. And also find out how to get their PDF document for the press release. And then we'll jump over to Dave & Buster's. So here's GameStop. This is the investor relations link. So if you go here, this will let you attend the web call. Let's just look at the news release real quick. Right here, December 9th. So if you want a deeper dive into their earnings, just go to that link. I'm going to put it on the bottom of my screen. And then you can read the press release. And a lot of the stuff we kind of already went over already. And let's, they got a breakdown with some line items. You can look at net sales, operating income, net income, gross profit, net income, net sales, that kind of thing. So you can really dive deep into this data. I just want to look and see when their earnings web call is. Let's see, they're going to tell me on this. Okay. All right, I'll pull this over for a second. And let me go back to their homepage. So look at Dave & Buster's had an initial negative reaction coming back up. Now, as far as GameStop on the bigger time frames, obviously there's some support around 20 bucks. It does look like a tiny little gap to the downside right here. Bottom of that gap is around 21.80. It's trading just above that now. Did it hit 21.80 over smaller time frames? It sure did. All right, so that gap is filled. That gap on the daily chart just got filled. So maybe with that gap fill, maybe the support's in the low 20s here on GameStop. Just below 20, maybe like 21 bucks and some change. We'll see if it holds. If that doesn't hold, let's take a look at where some of this volumes come in on this. Move this over. Let's take a look. Got quite a good volume node where the price was trading at today. So it lost that. Let me just zoom out a bit more. And let's see if my volume profile will adjust to this price action here. I just want to get the price action from this down move. And let's see if it adjusts for me. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I would say like right around 21.50. That's probably going to be my support on that. If that doesn't hold, I'd be looking at 20 bucks. So $20 is a nice mental level, I think. So I'm going to put a level at 20, and then right around 21.50 is kind of right where this volume node's sticking out there. There's a bit of volume came in around there. So support level on GameStop for the downside, since they are getting a negative reaction, 21.50 and then 20 bucks. I'd be looking for bounces at one of those two levels. Not really going to go over resistance levels because they're not really getting a positive reaction, but if I had to pick one out, I'd probably call it like 24 bucks where it got rejected on this wick here. So we got some support levels and some resistance levels on the bigger time frame mapped out. Now we can go zoom in again on the 1 minute. And yeah, that's kind of lines up to where it just wicked down. So that's again right around 21.50. That's looks like it's probably going to be some demand there. When you look at some of these fib levels, probably draw it from here to there. Yeah, this looks good. So just some levels for post-market price action. 22 bucks. That's kind of where it's trading at right now. Let me get rid of this volume profile. So 22, and the golden ratio is around 22.50. So for the GameStop bulls, you know, for my confidence to go up, that this is going to retrace this selling move. Like to see it break 22.50 again, reclaim that level, and then I think the bulls will be just fine on that. What we don't want for the bulls is some of these lower levels to get breached. Mainly this 21.50. That's what I'm going to be looking at for support. Let me go back a few pages on my other screen, and let's see if we can see where this. Okay, I'm not seeing any information for their earnings web call yet. So when I get that, I'll let everyone know. But for the time being, let me go over to. Let me also post the revenue results for GameStop on the Discord, because this is what really hurt them. They missed revenue by, let's see, the forecast was 987 million, and they reported 821 million. Yeah, I mean, they missed revenue forecast by 166 million, around there. I'm going to put these GameStop results back on the bottom of my screens for got over 600 people tuning in. What's up, everyone? Swinging Bull with PB Alerts, back at it. I do these streams every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Towards the end of the stream, I'm going to go over a spread trade I opened up in the Discord. And don't forget, we got the Fed meeting tomorrow. And we were looking at this with the Discord members earlier, but we'll check the Fed Watch tool. Just give everyone a little update on the probabilities. So 87.4% probability that they're going to cut the rates tomorrow. 12.6% that they keep it the same. So there is a chance that they don't cut the rate. I mean, it's like that movie Dumb and Dumber, right? So you're saying there's a chance. There is a chance. There is a chance that they hold it steady. The 12.6% chance, according to the CME group. I'm going to post this Fed Watch tool link in the comments as well if anyone wants to bookmark that. That's how you can easily see the probabilities of a rate cut or a rate increase. At the top toolbar, you can see the different dates for the Fed meetings here. So you know exactly when the Fed meetings are, the interest rate, the FOMC meetings. All right, so next one is tomorrow. I'm thinking they're probably going to cut the rate. Now, one thing that could be an issue tomorrow, there was 4 rate cuts planned for 2026. There may be a possibility that they might say that there's only going to be 2. That would be negative. That would be something negative. So just keep your eye on your positions as we go through the FOMC meeting, and of course Powell's press conference, and also Powell, the end of his term for Fed chair. I think it ends in May. of 2026. So there's going to be a new Fed chair. I don't think he's going to continue. I think it's the end of his term. He's going to retire probably. So just, you know, plant a seed. May of next year, we'll probably get a new Fed chair. But we got the press conference with him tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. 2 o'clock is when the actual interest rate data drops. Let's go back to the sticks here. All right, GameStop hasn't really, I mean, the bottom could be around 21.50. That's where it wicked down to when we first got the initial reaction. It still hasn't started printing higher lows yet, so not quite sure if the bottom's in or not, so just have to be patient. Dave & Buster's doing a good job retracing that sell move it just had. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's already retraced above the golden fib, so my confidence on this retracing back up is a bit higher than GameStop, of course. Price action a little sloppy, kind of spotty. It's only trading on 3 million volume today. I mean, it is doubled the average volume over 30 days, so I guess that's something, but nonetheless, the price just looks real spotty and sloppy. But it has managed to retrace more than half of this down move, so that's something. Around 17 bucks a share. I'd like for it to hold there, trading at 17.18 right now in after hours. Let me get the data for Dave & Buster's. And then it looks like we'll have enough time to go over that spread trade with everybody. Dave & Buster's earnings do not look good, even though there is a little bit of dip buying going on. This thing came all the way down to 16 bucks. Now it's back above 17 again. So there was some dip buying going on, but from a bird's eye view, the earnings don't look good. Kind of red across the board here. So for Dave & Buster's, the forecast EPS was negative $1.04. They reported negative $1.14, so they missed EPS. Revenue forecast was 460 million. They reported 448 million, so they missed revenue. So double miss with Dave & Buster's. They missed revenue by like 12 million bucks. Year over year number, quarter over quarter numbers, red across the board. No growth there whatsoever for Dave & Buster's. I'm wondering if they might have raised the guidance a little bit, hence why this has kind of retraced almost all the way. Actually came up, it just wicked up to $18. That's a little bit above where it closed the regular session. So this did retrace all the way. We'll see if maybe they increased the guidance for the remainder of this year and maybe Q1 or maybe 2026 as a fiscal year. Guidance was increased. We'll see. Some commentary from the CEO for Dave & Buster's. This is ticker symbol PLAY, P-L-A-Y. The CEO is named Taryn Lau, and they say, "I'm pleased to report we are making substantial progress on our back to basics plan." So that's been their strategy. They call it the back to basics plan. "We've been hard at work relaunching our marketing engine, reinvigorating our food and beverage offering, improving our operations, refreshing our games platform, and revamping our store remodel program." There's actually a Dave & Buster's over here in Tampa. Let me see. They go on to say, these enhanced efforts bore fruit over the course of the third quarter as we saw sequential improvement in same-store sales each month, with the final month of the quarter down only roughly 1%. We're also quite pleased with our Back to Basics new menu launch, which helped contribute to positive same-store sales for food and beverage during the quarter. And just to kind of wrap up the commentary here, the CEO says, "We are laser focused on executing our Back to Basics plan." Now, how many times are they going to talk? They say Back to Basics, but they say laser focused on executing our Back to Basics plan, strengthening our culture, elevating the guest experience, and fully realizing the significant potential of our unique and iconic brand. After being here for 5 months, okay, so CEO is relatively new for them, huh? So after being here for 5 months and fully immersing myself in the business, I am even more confident in our ability to dramatically improve operating results and drive meaningful value creation for our guests and our shareholders. Some pretty solid statements from the CEO. Us investors are liking what they're saying. But nonetheless, they got a double miss. Let me post this. Their net loss widened to 42.1 million. Comps fell 4%. So there is some negative stuff there, but the CEO sounds very, very optimistic about the future. Let me post this. This is from Schaefer's Investments data. Give credit where it's due. Posted that data there for everybody. And on the Discord says, I think most restaurants are struggling right now. Yeah, it's a tough industry, that's for sure. And people are kind of, their disposable income isn't what it used to be, right? So people are probably trying to save money by cooking meals at home and that kind of stuff. So I can definitely see how that can impact the restaurant industry, just, with the cost of everything right now. More specifically, real estate's, kind of one of the big things, and cost of living with rents is dramatically a lot more, and the cost of a mortgage is a lot more than what it used to be. And there's a lot of people out there struggling to make ends meet, so I could see them maybe cutting back at restaurants. But nonetheless, the restaurants that perform well and give good service, I think they'll be okay. They'll be fine. Let me look at a few other things here. And a little after 420, GameStop still hasn't printed any higher lows yet, so they're not out of the woods. Matter of fact, they're probably coming down to that level we plotted out on the bigger time frame. It's right around 2150. Let's see if that holds as support. If 2150 don't hold, we were looking at $20 a share. That'd be my next level. If 2150 don't hold. So just be careful, if you're trying to trade this in after hours with limit orders. I don't really like it below 2150. That's probably where my risk would be. Not financial advice, but this actually, if you're going to maybe try and anticipate the bottom here at 2150, you could keep your risk really, really tight. If it did fall below 2150, I'd probably just stop out for a small loss and then wait for the retest of 20 and then jump in there. And then the bounce play on that, if it bounces there, easily make back the small loss you made on the stop out at 2150. But I definitely wouldn't hold it through 2150 all the way down to 20. I'd probably just take a small loss at 2150 and be patient and see if it comes down to 20 and maybe give it a second shot down there. But I personally wouldn't enter here and just hold it all the way down to 20. I'd put in a little safety net here around 2150. And, it could probably get breached as long as it recovers quickly within, like within an hour is what I mean by recovering quickly. And maybe I would stay in the trade. But if it breaches 21, I'd say maybe 2140. That's probably where I'll call that. But if it breaches there and doesn't recover quickly, I'd stop out, wait for it to see if support comes in around $20. That's just me, though. All right, let's see when Play is going to do their earnings web call. And Dave & Buster's, which is Play, they got crushed on the quarter-over-quarter numbers. EPS was down 385% quarter-over-quarter. Okay, so margins and traffic pressure clearly showing. Yeah, I mean, the report doesn't look good at all, but the CEO is very optimistic about the future. The CEO's only been there for 5 months from what the report said. It's a relatively new CEO. Very optimistic about the future. Maybe that's why it's not getting hit as bad as maybe it should be. It is red. trading just below 3% down in after hours. Well, now almost 5% down. So kind of coming down to 17 bucks. It's the 50% retrace on the fib there. So 17 bucks, 16.50 probably be the next level down. That's the 25% retrace. And then I'm just going to say $16 is the third level down for anyone watching this to see if it's where it could bounce. Let me look at when they're going to do their earnings web call. And then we'll have just enough time to go over the spread trade I opened up this afternoon. I think everyone will probably be interested in that. All right, let me check their investor relations. GameStop, not out of the woods yet. 2140 is the level I'm looking at. But until this starts printing higher lows, the bottom is not in. Okay, let's go Dave & Buster's. All right, let's take a look. Dave & Buster's. I've been there a few times. It's a fun place. Food wasn't bad. You know, for like kind of like an arcade type restaurant. Just some highlights about Dave & Buster's here. Over 170 locations in 43 states, Puerto Rico, and Canada. Eat, drink, play, watch. All right, so here's the news that just dropped. The earnings web call for Dave & Buster's is at 5 p.m. Eastern. So we got about 30 more minutes before that's going down. So you got a little bit of time to burn there. Let me post this link for everyone. This is their investor relations link that'll get you to the earnings report, the press release, if you will. I'll put that on Discord for my Discord peeps. If you want to click the news article here, you get a much bigger deep dive into the earnings. A lot of this stuff we kind of already went over a little bit. Couple highlights. The company opened one new domestic Dave & Buster's store and 3 new main event stores in the third quarter, consistent with its previously communicated guidance for the full year. The company anticipates opening 2 additional domestic Dave & Buster's stores in the fourth quarter for a grand total of 11 new stores and 1 relocation for fiscal year 2025. And Dave & Buster's also opened its third international, here, let me, still got the price of Dave & Buster's on the right here. The company opened its third international franchise store, which is located in the Philippines, in the third quarter, and expects to open at least 4 additional international franchise stores over the next 6 months. So yeah, they got plans to grow here for sure. And the CEO is very optimistic about the future. The company commenced the remodels of 3 Dave & Buster's stores in the third quarter. And this commentary here, this is what I was reading earlier, so we kind of already went over that. And again, they're talking about the conference call and webcast, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I'll put the link on the bottom of my screen. If you want to screenshot that, that's how you'll get there. But not really a lot of action going on with Dave & Buster's price. It is down a little bit. It's down 83 cents a share. So nothing too crazy. The first initial reaction was a pretty decent sized red candle, basically coming down to 16 bucks. But it's already reclaimed quite a few levels since then. And it's retraced up quite a bit, over half. So it looks okay for the bulls right now, even though it is red a little bit in after hours. But it's only down 83 cents a share, so nothing crazy. So I think for both of these, the investor's probably going to wait for the earnings web call. Maybe we see a secondary move there, perhaps. We'll see. But okay, right on time. So it's 4:30. I'm going to go over spread trade I opened up today. And I opened it up on Disney. All right. And this how the setup of this trade is, I was looking at Disney's price on the daily chart here. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Make this a little bit bigger. Go to the daily chart. So one of the things I noticed the last time Disney had earnings, they got a dividend payout coming up as well. December 15th. And so that's on Monday. All right. But they had a pretty bad reaction to their previous earnings. I mean, I guess it wasn't terrible, but they were trading around 117 before that earnings. They ended up selling off down to like $102 a share, kind of where that bottomed out. And now it's been printing some okay looking green candles, some good green candle prints going on the daily chart here. Printing a red candle today, but I do like the fact that this red candle did not retrace more than 50% of this previous green candle. That could be a little signal there for weakness. Stayed above the 50% of that previous green candle. So that even though it's printed red today, it still looks good. The price is now back above my EMAs. I do like to use the 9 and the 21 EMA for trend strength or trend reversals, if you will. So price is back above there. And I was just looking at the volume profile earlier, and you can see a lot of this volume here came in around 105 to like 107. Nice big volume shelf here. So I put my spread at the 105 and 104 spread. So what this was all done on one trade ticket. You do need a margin account to trade spreads. But if you're all set up and ready to rock and roll, that's kind of the type of trading that I do in the Discord. Lots of spread trades, but more so I'm a contract writer. I'm always on the selling side of the opening transaction in most cases. So if you've ever been interested in writing contracts, I'm your coach in the Discord. That's what I teach everyone. So this particular setup, I think there's probably some good support around 105 on Disney short term. Expiration I picked was the 19th, which is next Friday. So on one trade ticket, two legs, two separate option contracts on one ticket. I sold to open the 105 put, collected credit on that, and then I bought to open the 104 put. That forms a $1 wide spread. So for every one spread, there's $100 in value there. So your broker's going to put $100 on hold while the trade's open. That's the buying power needed for a $1 wide spread. I usually open up a handful of these when I trade the spreads. But this particular spread paid $28 a spread. So if you're tying up $100 in buying power, now you know what your return on capital, your potential return on capital could be if this is a winning trade. 28%, right? Chance of profits, nice and high, above 70%. So I like the probability of the trade working out. And in essence, we just want Disney to stay above our break even at expiration. Our break even at expiration, if you collected $28 a spread on this, would be the strike that we sold to open, which would be the 105 put, minus the credit received. That's how you figure out your break even at expiration. That comes out to $104.72 a share on Disney. So in theory, as long as Disney stays above my break even of 104.72 by next Friday, this is going to be a winning trade. The max gain is if Disney is above 105. But there is a little sliver of profit built into the trade below 105, but above 104.72. So the price could still end below 105 on December 19th. But if it's still above 104.72, so it's in that little sliver of price there, 104.72 to 105, there still is profit built into the trade there. Let's see right here on the graph. So technically, as long as Disney is above 104.72 by December 19th, this is going to be a profitable trade. If Disney's above 105, that's even better because that's how we'll get 100% of the max gain. And this white line here is where Disney is trading at when it closed the regular session, I believe. So you can see my break even way down here. So I got a little bit of cushion. I got a little bit of breathing room where Disney could actually sell off a little bit. Disney could sell off to 105. But as long as it stays above my break even, I'll stay in the trade. If my break even gets breached, and that's where you need to have risk management and maybe consider stopping out of the trade. Not financial advice, just kind of how I would manage it. So you could use your break even at expiration as kind of like a stop loss level signal, if you will. So if Disney comes down to there should be a little alarm going off that, hey, trade's not working out, might want to limit our risk and stop out of the trade. Another risk management technique is 2x the credit receipt. So if I receive $28 a spread on this credit spread, if the value of that spread ever gets 2x of that, so if it ever got to $56 a spread, that's also a risk management technique you could consider stopping out of the play, because with the credit spread, we want these to go to zero, the contracts. So the 105 put and the 104 put, we actually want those to go to zero. That way we capture 100% of the credit we received when we opened it. So it's a little different than trading naked options when you're day trading and swing trading naked options. With credit spreads, we actually want the value of the spread to go down to zero. And that means we pocket the full profit that we collected when we opened it. So it's a little bit backwards when you're comparing it to, regular traditional trading of naked options. So, and if it's still a little bit confusing on how it all works, that's why I'm here. Join the Discord, join my coaching group. I can teach you all about it. I've got over 100 people in my coaching group now, and everyone's having a blast and having fun. And it's funny too, when I get someone new in my coaching group that isn't too familiar with contract writing, and they're not too familiar with, how to do sell to open and stuff like that. And then once they learn it and start using the strategies that I teach, it's almost like a light switch turns on, and it's like an aha moment. And they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know you could trade this way. There's a lot of different ways to trade, a lot of different creative ways to trade compared to, I'm going to day trade SPY. I'm going to buy a call. I want SPY to go up, and then I'll sell the call for profit. Or I'm bearish on SPY. I'm going to buy a put. When SPY goes down, I'll sell it for profit. That's just basic options trade. We go way beyond that. Multi-leg options, different creative ways to hedge our long positions, lots of spread trading where we're not too concerned about the intraday ups and downs. We're basically just picking out a level on the bigger time frame, and we're placing a bet that the underlying stock stays either above that level or below that level if you're doing a bearish spread, bearish credit spread, which would be a call credit spread. But technically, you're short the call. So people think we're trading calls that we must be bullish. That's not true. If you're short the call, you're technically neutral to bearish. Okay, so it's important to understand all the metrics of spread trading before you actually start trading them. But again, that's what I do in the Discord. That's what I coach everyone on. So anyways, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this Disney trade. The last spread trade I did was on Mara. That was last week's trade. It was a put credit spread or a bull put spread, however you want to call it. That was a winner. The spread trade before that was on NVIDIA. That was a winner. We got back-to-back winners here on the spread trades lately. Now, full transparency, I do take a loss on spreads every now and then. I'm not saying I win them all. I'll take a loss every now and then when I'm trying to manage risk and stuff like that. But overall, it's a very good success rate with the spread trading. If you're doing it correctly, you should have a win rate of like 70-80% on these things or more. But yeah, that's really all I got for today. I appreciate everyone coming out to hang out. Got about over 700 people tuning in. So for those that are late joining, my name's TheSwingingBull in the Discord with PB alerts. So If you do join the Discord, just tag me in the chat. I'll come by and say hello. We can talk for a little bit if you want. And also, if you're looking for 4 high probability trade setups sent to your inbox every morning at 9 a.m., check that first link in the description. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on that. Take a sip of water here. But yeah, other than that, that's really all I got for today. I hope everyone enjoyed. I do these streams every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We come on here. We look at some stocks that are reporting earnings. We look at their stock price reaction to the earnings data. We look at some levels on the bigger time frames where I think could be some levels of interest. And then usually I go over with some of my open trades at the end of the stream, and we have a lot of fun. I'm not really here to sell you anything. But of course, we do have a Discord that you can join if you're interested in that. But yeah, other than that, I hope everyone enjoyed. I hope everyone has a fantastic night. And until next time, I'll see everyone in the very next stream. Cheers.